Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Paul Jugmas, and today I'm going to tie a black woolly bugger using a peacock herl body. I like the effects a peacock herl has in the water, and the fish seem to enjoy it. And I was watching a video for a peacock elk hair caddis that a gentleman was tying, and he used a peacock herl for the body, and he used some red wire to help add structure or strength to the peacock herl. So that's what I'm going to do. This sounded like a good idea. Okay, I've already mounted in my Anvil Atlas vise a 12 4x long streamer hook. I already checked it, but you can see we have a good rotation here. As I move this around, the hook shank doesn't move up or down on the ruler very much. I could keep moving and moving and moving this collet, this barrel here, until it got really fine-tuned, but this is plenty close enough. Going to use some 6/0 black thread. And before I start, I wrap that around my finger so that I can just snap it off here at the end. So let's get started. We'll wrap that on down the shank hook. Doesn't have to be touching turns. Just sort of some even turns, kind of build it up a little bit extra on the very back of my hook so I can snap that off. And there we go. Okay. Now I got some black marabou here I'm going to use. I'll just take off a fairly healthy portion. I'm going to get my fingers a little bit damp. I keep a cup of water right next to my tying table. My fingers a little bit damp and kind of draw that marabou back out. Gives me an idea of its actual length that it's going to be once it's in the water. And I can measure that to my hook here. You kind of want it to be about the length of your hook. I'm going to do it just a little bit shorter because I'm using a long hook. Kind of roll it to the side closest to me a little bit so that when I cinch it up, knowing it's going to pull up, it'll even out. Let's see, how do we do? Okay. Now cinch that down a little tighter. Pull it all up together. Lay my scissors across the hook shank. I can give it kind of a haircut there. And then finish cinching everything down. Okay. I'll put in some crystal flash. I got some green crystal flash right here that I like to use. What I'm going to be shooting for here is 2 strands on each side. So I'll put the first one here and capture that in. Roll it over to the other side. Capture that. Without cutting it, just loop it back. This side. Capture it again. And then finally taking it back to the far side again, and I'll have my 2 on each side. And I'll only cut this once. Okay. Gathering them all up together, going to get a general length. And I made my loop a little bit longer so that when I clip these, I can simply just cut them all together. And there we go. I'll hold them together as I bring them back and do my final tightening back here so I can get them like I want. That looks good to me. Okay. Now I'll tie in our hackle. I got a grizzly hackle fiber here that I took the barbs or fibers from the inside of the quill, on the inside of the curve of the quill so that it lays a little more flat. I'm going to go ahead and run my thumb and finger around these, sort of spread them out more. Give it that better buggy look as we palmer this down the shank. I'm going to tie it in by its tip. I'm going to try to make a nice pinchy C with my fingers here. tie it in with the tips. There we are. Okay, now I'm going to tie in a piece of red wire. One of the beauties about the rotating vise is I don't have to guess how much wire I need. I'm just going to go ahead and just tie this in and leave it on the spool. There we are. And then I'm going to run my thread all the way back up to the bead and throw in a couple half hitches. Okay. Now I'll take this and put it on my homemade bobbin rest. Okay. Oopsie daisy, says I. Okay, now I got to put in my peacock herl. And here it is. So I'm going to take about 4 or 5 strands or so here. You kind of even them up. I'll start by trying to fuzz them up a little bit. Find out what we got, what our lengths are. I'm going to trim them all down to like the shortest one there. Shorter. Looks like about right. Here, let's click this. Okay. And let's see here. We'll run our thumb and fingers here and kind of get them a little fuzzy. And when they dry out, they'll get even more fuzzy. And one of the beauties of the peacock herl is it's iridescent in the water and also collects little air bubbles in its little fine fibers. It's really attractive to the fish, I think. All right. And so we'll also tie this in by its tips. Tying in the peacock herl here. There we are. Now I had that peacock herl setting in a cup of water because peacock tends to get brittle, and soaking it really toughens up those fibers and the quill a great deal. There, now we'll set our over on the bobbin rest. We'll take our wire and our peacock and we'll start wrapping those together. So we'll wrap the herl around that red wire. And I like putting some red in a lot of my flies. I think it's a natural attractant, even though it's not high on the fish's color spectrum. I've always had some good luck with it. So I like this red wire. I'm glad he used it because I'm emulating it. Okay, that should do. Okay, I'm gonna run this back to the back a little bit here. And then I'm gonna pick up my neck hackle, my hackle feather here. Not a neck, sorry, my hackle. I'll hold it together with the herl in front, and then I'm going to bring them both up simultaneously up the body here. Up to about a bead's width from the bead. And I'm going to stop here and tie these off. Okay. Just capture that real quick. Yeah, real quick. Here we go. And then we're going to cut off just the herl and wire, but try very carefully not to cut my hackle. Okay. Now we'll finish out Wrapping a collar here. Looks good. Capture it. Get rid of this. Then I'm actually going to throw a half hitch in here. The reason is because I changed directions on my rotating. Now, taking my 3 fingers, thumb and second finger, first finger, I'm going to drag the fibers back just a little bit, just to sweep them back mainly here. Okay, finish and this will be done. And there we are. So what we have is a woolly bugger with a peacock herl body, grizzly hackle, and we used the rotary fly tying method together as we brought those two up. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video.